Okay, here's the bull that decided to haul off and pop me in the kisser. So, it's quarter sawn maple. Bottom's not as good as I want it to be because you'll see in the footage, I put it in there. I had finished it on cold jaws and I was worried and wondering whether they would hold. And they held fine while I had the tailstock. And I removed the nub, and right then is when I should have stopped. It should work for roughing purposes. This is a weird piece. I might go with a lidded bowl or something on this one. If I'm gonna do that, I need to stop drilling a hole in the top. Dang it, man. Dude. Maybe next time. That or put a really big tenon on it, I don't know. I have a feeling this guy's going to make a lot of noise when we're roughing him. A lot of noise. See, it's got a good sized check across here. Okay, let's see what we can do with this big old chonker, man. This thing's something else. I don't think I won't be able to get many revs out of this guy. Hey, I'll take that. You know, I won't eat away some of that bottom first. Hey, what's up, friends? Ray with Docket Timberworks. So here we go. This is a big old quarter sawn piece of maple, silver maple. The original plan was to just rough it out. I had roughed out like 5 of them earlier and was just going to make some blanks to dry. And I think I changed my mind along the course of this. Yeah, I think my original thought plan was to do a lidded bowl and to dry it out, rough it out, and then dry it out, and then twice turn it later on down the road. Yeah, so this is a big old honking chunk of quarter sawn maple. It's really out of balance on the bottom. The top was rough too, so that's why I was worried about it making a lot of noise. A lot of times you'll get a real rough vibration chatter if you've got a rough surface that mates to the where the woodworm screw brings the wood into the jaw faces. Okay, so it's a little bit rough and slow at the beginning. You know, it's a big uneven piece. There's a lot of wonky sides and edges to it. So we're just going to get it true and round it up and running smoothly. All right, so I'm in Southeast Michigan, and a lot of my maple gets this mold in it. Yeah, and I'm wondering if any of y'all can dial me in and help me out how to avoid getting it in my maple. I mean, I've already took off an inch or two, right? And this thing's still 6.5 inches. What was I thinking, man? Seriously. That's wild. Too bad it got moldy. So like on this bowl, it pretty much gave the bowl a lot of character, the mold did. But on a lot of them, I'll have a predominantly white piece like really clear white, and then I'll get a few flecks of that mold in there and it totally ruins it. So I can only assume that it has to do with the high sugar content in the maple, because it's predominantly in my maple. Some of the hickory gets it, but not to the extent that the maple does. Yeah, sometimes I don't put a whole lot of thought when I start, you know, cutting blanks with my chainsaw. I just kind of start cutting stuff up, and whatever happens, what happens. You know, I'll put a lot of thought into like the crotches and stuff where I know there's going to be some cool looking details and feathered grains and stuff like that. But if it's just big chunks of wood, I just chunk it up and throw it on there. I will go a little bit deeper. This is big. Alright friends, it's that time of the video. I hate asking, but I really could use y'all's help with some likes. You know, hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and leave some comments down below. It really helps the channel out. It helps the algorithm push my content out and get it out to y'all. And it's kind of struggling these days. So if y'all could, you know, help me out, I really appreciate it. I can't do it without y'all. Alright, thanks. I think that flat's gone, pretty much. Okay. Let's see what we know. See, we're just getting a lot of noise and vibration, because look at the top of this thing, man. See how chunky and wonky that is? Ooh. Looks like we're going to have some nice figure, though. Let's see. I have not figured out this lidded bowl thing yet. I'm not even trying to pretend I know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyways. Oh, okay. See, so at this point, I still had the thought in my mind to make a lidded bowl, so I'm messing around with putting a tenon on and then shaping the top lid, and then, you know, the worm screw hole was still in there, so I made another tenon and start whittling it down, and by the time I'm done with it and get out of that worm screw hole, then it just doesn't look like I have enough material left to have a lid and a bowl. I've whittled it down too much. Well, y'all know there ain't no point, you know, crying over spilled milk. You know, you just change plan, adjust, adapt, and get after it. So I got the idea to just do kind of a closed form, what I think is a calabash. I don't know what technically makes one. You know, I guess it looks like a gourd or a pumpkin or something, and it has that closed-in top. Well, that's my interpretation, at least. See, I know I was tired too because I usually switch the camera angles to when I do the hollowing. And I think up at this point, I'm still thinking that I'm just going to be roughing this thing out, not even finishing it yet. And somewhere along this hollowing process, I got it in my head that I wanted this to be thick and chunky, you know, big heavy duty bowl. So I left the walls kind of thick, and I think it looks cool. It looks kind of like a cannonball or something. It's real heavy and sturdy. The combination of that closed-in lid, tapered in, and it being a deep bowl is pretty challenging to hollow it up and get the walls squared away and equal and all that good fun stuff. It was a kind of a fun, challenging bowl to do. Okay, yeah, so right then was when I decided to just go ahead and once turn it and finish it right there. So now I go ahead and shear scrape and clean up the outsides, get everything ready for sanding, and then, you know, pretty much call it good. Some final shaping on the outside. I wanted to kind of round that point where it starts to taper inwards out a little bit, kind of smooth that transition out. You know, there was something odd about this bowl too. There was always a vibration in it. I never was able to get a lot of RPMs out of it and to get a real smooth finishing cut on it. It was just, I don't know, it was untrue somehow. It was kind of odd. That's why I think some of this finishing cuts, this shear scraping took so long was because it just wasn't running true and I wasn't getting, you know, I was getting tool marks left in it. Let's see if we can profile it a little bit with this guy. I know I've said it before, but man, this thing just helps me out with the inside of the bowls. It takes away all the, you know, if I got high or low points, it just cleans things up better than I can with the gouge. I know I really need to practice and get those finishing cuts dialed in with the gouge. I guess it'll come with time, or I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong, but this big old bowl scraper, man, it really bails me out. So right up in here, when you see me switch to a black handle, I was trying a negative rake, but I have it ground at a not very good angle and profile, so I couldn't get in there with this steep wall and the tight enclosed lid. And what I ended up doing was raising a burr with a burnishing rod on that scraper, and that cleaned things up. Walnut oil, and all this is how I do it. So I just wet sand my once turned green bowls to 320, and then sometimes I'll use an abrasive paste afterwards. I think I did on this one. Okay, now I don't know how well I trust this guy. You know, because it's kind of closed form. I don't really trust it. We'll see how it goes. Never really used a cold jaws or anything on a closed form like this before. Well, I guess it's time to learn. This thing's so out of whack. Okay, now that I've posted the original video of just when I got hit, some of the guys on Facebook have informed me that one of the methods I could have used was to use an expansion hold from the interior of the bowl. Since it had that inwards dovetail, it would actually fit properly with those type of jaws. The only bumpers that I have for this cold jaw set are those dovetails. I bought it used and didn't get any of the round or other shaped bumpers that sometimes come with them. And of course, another option would have been to use a friction chuck, a jam chuck, or a vacuum chuck. Or to just stop right there where the nub is and call it good. I think what I had wanted to do was work the bottom a little bit more and having the open face to it and put some details in there. You know, I was going to do a couple of beads and everything because it's a little bit thick on the bottom yet. And I wanted to, well, I don't know. I could have done it with the tailstock in place, but I wanted the open face so I could get in there and work the beads a little bit better and have a fancy bottom. This part's still hard for me to watch because I knew better. Deep down inside, I knew better than to do this. I had that gut feeling and I kind of just was tired and wanted to get done and did it anyways. So I'm pretty sure after that moment right there, that ow, I didn't say a whole nother word during the rest of the recording of this video. So, you know, I kind of picked up the bowl, checked it out. Didn't look like it had any real damage. Took the cold jaws off, so I won't use them anymore. And just decided to kind of, I contemplated, you know, putting it on a jam chuck, or I keep calling it a jam chuck. I guess it's the technical term for friction chuck. It's just a chunk of wood that I hold in place with a faceplate and put that same little foam padding on there. But I just sanded up the bottom and oiled it and called it good. You know, kind of just walked away, kept the bowl intact. You know, the thought had gone through my mind to throw it through the log splitter and cook supper with it, because I was, you know, going to go start a fire and cook some tri-tip and chicken later. You know, a little bit of maple won't hurt mixing in with
so
the
obviously the bottom's not getting
but no, I kept it. It's sitting on the shelf. It's still a nice looking bowl.
We'll put a little bit of oil on here just so.
But yeah, that's it. I
pretty
much just finished it up by hand sanding it and put a little bit of oil on it, and that was it.
It looks like compared to everything else, kind of blended in. But there it is. So I guess it's still a good recovery. I knew better. You know, I was wondering, and I don't know if I got it on camera, but I was questioning whether the cold jaws would be able to hold on to this type of lid. And the answer is no, for any of y'all that are wondering. I'm not going to take this out. I'm going to leave it out there as a learning lesson, you know. I've been hit by way worse things than that. It's a good thing that it was turning low and slow, you know, 600. I was following the rules of the cold jaw, or the recommendation is to turn 600 or less with them. And it saved me, you know. I don't know. So, you know, it hit me right here. I don't know if I could see anything, but this is probably the heaviest bowl I made too. That's the funny part. Because this one, for whatever reason, I wanted it to be thick rimmed. It just looked like it would be a big, heavy, sturdy bowl. So, and of course, the big, heavy, sturdy bowl hit me in the face. So, I guess, you know, it is what it is. Face shield wouldn't have done nothing. I mean, everybody says face shield this, face shield that. I understand. You know, at that low RPMs, I was just unlucky that it came up. It didn't hit me with any force. You know, it is still a cool bowl. I'm not mad at it. I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to burn it. All right, so we got that one for today. So, you know, like I said, this thing's got kind of a closed form, a tapered in rim, and that's what bit me. And so I kind of was almost expecting it, but I got cocky because I didn't feel any vibrations. I didn't feel any issues when the tailstock was on. Of course not, right? So, and then also, this happened to be like the heaviest bowl I've ever turned. Look at the wall thickness on that thing, man. Like, look at it compared to this guy. Or even compared to this guy. It's 4 times as thick as this one, man. It's wanting to roll around all over the place. But this isn't even a thin bowl for me. You know, a lot of times I try to turn them around this thickness. You know, 1/4 inch, 3/8, somewhere in there. So yeah, I got hit by the heaviest one, of course, but it's nothing, guys. It was at 600 RPMs because that's what the cold jaw suggests, no higher. And then it barely just come up out of them, you know. It hurt my pride more than anything else. So, but I don't want to hide stuff, and it's a learning opportunity. no closed form lids or rims with the cold jaws.